What's up, everybody? I'm going to do a video here on trail cams today because I get asked a lot of questions about them. I'm Russ Gleixner. I live in north central Pennsylvania here in Elk County. I've been running game cameras for about 20 years on many different types of setups for different types of animals. So I figured I'd give you some information. I get asked a lot of questions about game cameras and what to buy, how to set them up, and all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to go over a few things here. The video might be a little bit longer, but if you have a specific question, you can always ask me and I can reference you to a certain time in the video to your question about some of these topics I'm going to address in setting cameras up. So this will be for folks that never ran a game camera, or even people that have been running them that want to maybe do something differently, or just looking to find out some more information and maybe different ideas you never thought of about how to set them up and run them. So I hope this helps you a little bit. I got just a cheat sheet here. I'm just going to kind of go down a list on a bunch of stuff. So types of cameras, you got pretty much two types. You got your non-cellular and you have your cellular. Okay, so obviously this one here doesn't send pictures to your cell phone. You have to go out in the woods and physically check the camera and pop the SD cards out to check them, or swap them out and take them home and check them on your computer. Cellular cameras really took over the market here a lot, and everybody's running these. Mostly, they send the pictures right to your cell phone, so you don't have to go out in the woods, waste gas driving around, to go out to check your camera. This will send it right to your phone. All the settings are on your phone to control this, so you don't have to worry about like setting this up out in the woods and you forgot it or wanted to change a setting. You do that all right off your cell phone. It has all the settings on there. You can make it send you pictures and videos, and you can change the time of how long the videos are and how many pictures it will send. So they're pretty nice, but they do have one downfall. In a lot of areas around here where I live, there is no cell phone service, and even with the new cellular cameras that are dual service that use AT&T and Verizon both, they still don't pick up a lot. But in generally, for most people, they do get good reception throughout Pennsylvania and in the country. But in our area here, there's a lot of areas that does lack, and they don't work that good. So I do run a couple of them, but I definitely use the non-cellular more than the cellular ones. So I'll go over some basic stuff here with these. So when you open them up, turn them on, and these are pretty much the same for all cameras. You obviously got all your settings in here. You turn it on, and you go to camera setup. You got your dates. Okay, you go in there and set your date. All right, and then you have your operation mode. You can pick trail cam, video, or time lapse. I run mostly of my stuff on video. Some guys like just pictures. It's all in what you want. When I run my game cameras on my rattlesnake gestation sites, the camera doesn't pick up the snakes moving, so I actually set it on time lapse, where it will automatically just keep taking pictures however amount of time I set it. Usually like once every 5 minutes or 10 minutes all day long, it'll take one picture, and then it'll stitch them together on the computer and play like a movie of them all. So you got that, and you go to, let's see here, photo quality. So you can pick your photo quality, and the reason you got a couple settings on here: low, medium, high, and ultra. I run everything on ultra. The only thing is with it is it just is going to use up more of your SD card if you have it on the higher setting, which still isn't that bad. I just run it all on high, on the best quality setting. Video length. So you can pick 1 minute, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 5 seconds, however long you want your video. Video quality, there again, there's high and ultra, you know, and depending on what kind of cameras you have, it might have a different wording there or whatever. But you know, I always pick the highest settings on video and picture both. The photo delay, so you can pick your seconds of how long the camera will go into standby before it starts taking another picture or video. So the options for that usually are 1 second, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, you know, 20, 30 seconds, a minute, and so forth. I personally, on most setups, I run 1 second. So say if it takes a 1 minute video, it will only wait 1 second before it starts taking another 1 minute video. If you have it in front of a bait pile or something that you got a lot of animals in front of it continuously, birds, whatever, you know, you're going to chew up your SD card and your batteries if you have that photo delay, you know, down to 1 or 5 seconds. You can bump it up, you know, to a longer time frame, you know, like 10 seconds or, you know, 30 seconds, you know, whatever you want. So the video or the next setup is multi-shot mode. So you can run how many pictures you want it to take in a row. It will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many pictures. You know, if you want a burst shot, you can set this in here. It's pretty nice. Usually guys on trail camera or on trails will run burst mode to get a lot of pictures, you know, if there's a buck going through or whatever, and you want different angles or, you know, whatnot of them, or just, you know, possibly there's another one coming behind it that you might have missed if you only took one picture. So yeah, there's you know, different sets or different reasons you can use multi-shot mode. The rest of the settings in here, there's, you know, temperature you change, you know, obviously Fahrenheit, Celsius, you know, they're pretty self-explanatory if you go down through the settings. They're really not that hard. A lot of people, I think, are intimidated with the settings are really hard to change and understand. They're not. Just, you know, when you get your camera, sit down on your computer, on your couch, and just go through it, you know, and look at it. They're really easy to set up. You know, they're not hard. You can set your camera name in there, so obviously you can put your own name, so when it takes a picture or video, your name's down the bottom down there. It keeps turning off. Let me go there. Let's see what else we got here. So there is also motion test. So if you put it on motion and hit on, you can see this red light come on. So you can set it up where if you want to walk out in front of the camera and to see if it's aimed correctly, that red light will go off. You know, you can see if I'm moving, it'll keep sensing that there's movement. So that's kind of a way to set it up and aim it if you're in an area where, you know, you want it really honed in on something. That works pretty nice. There is image data on the strip. You can turn that off if you don't want, like, your name and your date and all that down there on the bottom of your pictures and videos. I leave mine on. There is motion detection. So there's normal range and long range. I run it on both equally, depending on what setup I got. Sometimes I want it to sense further out, so I'll set it on long range. Sometimes I'm running my camera on a really close setup, like on my log crossings and whatnot. I want the animal a little bit closer to pick it up or whatever. I'll run it on normal range. You know, you can test it. I've run it on both. They both work equal. I don't really see too much difference, except for, like, most of the stuff I run is in normal range probably, but I do run in long range if I'm going to sense out really far. I want to pick up an animal, but, you know, you can, there again, it's one of those things, you just test it and see what you like. Battery type, you can use alkaline, nickel metal hydride, lithium, you know, different types of batteries in it. And then you set it on whatever type of battery you're using. I have alkaline in here currently. I'll go over about different part of batteries here in just a little bit. Trigger speed. So there's normal and fast. So if you got animals moving through really quickly, you'd want to put it on fast. If it's just, you know, in a spot where an animal's usually not going through it fast rate, you can just run on normal. There again, I ran it on both. I probably keep it on fast more than I do normal, but there again, you have to test it out, see what you like. There is time lapse frequency, and I went over that about how you can set your camera up to take a picture however many minutes all day long. There is the next setting is delete all. You can delete all your pictures on there, whatever. There's IR flash power. So you click that. There's blur reduction, long range, and economy. 90% of the time I run mine on economy because this particular camera happens to have a pretty bright flash to it. So if an animal's very close to the camera, it will white out. If the animal's like as close as I am to this to my cell phone taking this video, it'll take sometimes it will adjust automatically, but there's times where it might white it out. There's too much flash. So economy is the least amount of flash, so it's low flash. And then you got blur reduction. That's for like an animal going through really fast. It changes the settings in the camera to, you know, help so that the photo, video, whatever is not blurred. Long range, if you were out, you wanted to shoot your animal subject out very far, and the animal's going to be really far away, run it on long range, and it uses the most flash for long distance. There again, it all comes down to what you're setting up and what you're going to run on. Let's see what else we got here. There's language, obviously, you know, English, capture timer. There's different other smaller settings in here that I don't use, some of them. There's date, you know, just date formats in some of these cameras, however you want them. If you want, you know, the months or the days first, whatever. It's all preference. And then let's see here. So that's pretty much it in here. You just got to go through all your cameras. Every camera is different. I can't go over it in too depth just on this camera because every camera has different type settings and their menu is different. This is the Browning Recon Force HP5. So that is the camera currently that I run the most of any camera. I get asked a lot, what cameras do I run? You know, which ones do I like the most? Currently, this is, you know, January 2024 or 2025, sorry. This camera here is probably one of the better cameras on the market. If someone's watching this 5-10 years from now, that's not going to be the case. Obviously, the cameras keep evolving, new companies keep coming out, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on what cameras are the best and whatnot. You got to keep in mind that's going to keep changing. But as far as the settings and my types of setups that I'm going to show you here, that's going to stay the same, but your camera brands and stuff are definitely going to change. But for right now, the Recon Force HP5 is my favorite non-cellular camera. My favorite cellular camera is definitely the WiseEyes DC2. That camera is really good. Guys are really starting to go with that camera the most, that really know game cameras really well and have run many different brands. I have one out, it's not here, it's currently deployed out in the woods. That one it's pretty nice. It picks up, you know, really good. It has real good cell phone or cellular reception. A lot of really great settings on it. It's a great camera. You can check it out online under wiseeyes.com. And then same as these cameras here, the Browning Recon Force HP5. You can see that online. Browning makes a lot of different models. Here's another Browning here I already have mounted up. It's an older model. There's a bunch of them on there. You have to go through and look and see what you want to buy. Different settings, different price points. There's a lot of it to go through. But I'm making this video so, you know, because I do get asked a lot of questions on this. So I want people to, you know, understand them, you know, better, you know, because I can see that people are intimidated by buying a camera you know, in setting one up, or where to run it, how to set it up and whatnot. So I figured I'd make this video, you know, to help some people out. So that's about the basics for that. Now, as far as SD cards go, your cellular cameras and your non-cellular cameras both use SD cards. There is some cellular cameras that don't use SD cards. They have internal memories and whatnot, and just don't use them. But one positive to using the SD card is you can still take it out, you know, and take it home and save them on your computer. And there's a lot of times that the video and pictures off the SD card on some of these cellular cameras is actually better quality than when that camera actually sends it to your cell phone. So I, you know, obviously take the SD card out and I'll take it home, and if there's a certain video or picture I got while that was deployed, I'll pull that good video or picture off this SD card, you know, to save it to my computer or share. So the SD cards, there's many different sizes. These cameras all, depending on what manufacturer, some of them only go up to 32 meg or 32 gig SD card. You know, I run mostly 64s. Most of my cameras take all 64s. You can buy all the way up to 512 on most of these. 64 does give you a lot of pictures and videos. There again, it all depends on what you want to spend. These SD cards, you know, they depend on where you buy them. They can range from, you know, $6-7 to $15 a piece. It all depends on how big a one you want. But 64, I would say, is a good starting point for people. It has a lot of space on it to get a lot of pictures and videos. It's not too small, it's not too big, it's kind of right there in the middle. I know guys that use more, the higher ones, 128s and 256s, for more storage. You know, like I said, and then it just costs you more money to buy these. I have a lot of cameras out, and I obviously have to have 2 SD cards for every camera, because when I go in to check these cameras, I take one that does not have no pictures in it, I put it in here, and I take out the one that I did. So I'm just, or that was in the camera. So I just swap them out, and take the one home that has the pictures on it to put on my computer. So yeah, it's all there again. All depends on what SD card you want to buy. I would definitely recommend at least a 32 gig card, so you have enough space. But 64 is really good. 128 is really good. Just goes up in price, however size you want. Let's see here. What else we got? Now, let's go over the setting the camera up. So I get asked a lot of questions on how to mount cameras, where to mount them, how close, how far away, all kinds of stuff, how high up on down the tree. So there's different tree mounts, straps and whatnot. Let me show you. So these are Python cables. They sell these at I don't know if Lowe's has them. Ace Hardware has them. You can buy them online, Amazon. They sell them at Bass Pro, Cabela's there. So you can buy these. I used to buy these strictly for all my cameras. Okay, they're not cheap though. I mean, you're talking they're 20+ bucks a piece for one of these usually. Sometimes you get a sale, get a little bit better, but it ain't bad if you're only running, you know, a couple cameras or a handful. If you have 20+ cameras or whatever, these get expensive, obviously. So there's cheaper alternatives to locking the camera to the tree. One positive about these Python cables is when you run this through the loops that are on the back side of these cameras, I'll show you. There's a loop you can see on the back side of the camera. All the cameras are different on the back here. Some of them have plastic loops in the back, as you can see there, and some of them are metal. It all depends. But when you run these through the back of the camera, and you run this through here around the tree, when you put this through, this tightens up and it won't come loose. So when you push this through, you can't pull this back out. I have it unlocked right now. I can, but once it's locked, you can't pull that back out. So this works as a dual purpose. If you use this, you do not need the straps as well, like this one running around the tree. you can just get away with using this. You don't need the strap no more. You can just, this tightens it up and locks it to the tree both. So some guys, you know, a lot of guys use these, and like I said, I did too. Now I started running my own, I started making my own cables. So here's a little tip for people if you want to make your own lockable cables. You can buy a coil of stainless 1/8 inch. I mean, you can buy any size you want. I buy 1/8 inch. This is stainless steel cable, and what I do is I make my own loops. So let's see here, let me find the end. So I pull this out for however many feet you want, and I would go through the back of the camera through that loop, and you can buy these. These are really cheap. That roll was, I think, 300 feet of cable. I think it was like 40 bucks. It's not that much money, and that's a lot of cable. You can do a lot of cameras with it. So you buy these little furl things, these crimps. They're aluminum. You can buy 100 pack of them for probably less than 10 bucks. So you run that through the after you run it through the camera, and then you take the cable, run it through there, and then you push it back inside of here. Get that in there. Okay. And then you pull this down, then you take this and just smash that down in a vise, or take a hammer and smash it down, and it crimps it right on there. They make a tool that you can use. I don't even have that tool. I just make them on my vise downstairs. If you're out in the woods, you actually can do it. If you take a screwdriver, a wide flat blade screwdriver, and put it down on a rock, you can crimp it down, smash it just like that. And that aluminum's soft. It crimps excuse me, right onto the SD, or right onto the cable. So this is a really cheap, effective way of making lots of cables to run around the tree. So you take this and just run it around, and you can see I got my 2 loops here, and you just take that and lock it together. Here's your padlock. You can buy padlocks wherever you want online. I usually buy Key to Like, a set of 12 of them. They're cheap China ones. They're not master lock or nothing good. They don't have to be. You're just keeping somebody from walking away with it right then and there. Sometimes these cameras do have loops, as you can see right here. This one doesn't, but some of them do. So when you run this around the tree, what you can do is run this through here like this. So now this is locked around the tree. Then you can take your lock, run it through the loop on your camera where your door is, so somebody can't take your SD card, and just put this lock, or put the loop around that. So you will actually lock this to the tree, and then your battery door is locked, all with one cable. So that's another nice way of doing it, and that's what I run on all my cameras. Then if you do make these, and you don't use the Python cables here, you just use the strap that it comes with. They almost all come with straps. You can put that around the tree, and it cinches right down. It's got the alligator clip end on it there, just bites it and pull it tight. So that's kind of a nice setup. How high to run it on the tree? So a lot of guys run them too high, at least as far as I'm concerned. Some guys run cameras up 5-6 feet in the air and stuff. I personally don't. All my cameras are pretty much 2 feet off the ground, and it's all about how it's angled on the tree to picking up your subject that is out in front of you. So you might say, well, if it's down this low, if an elk walks in front of it, elk are very tall, it's gonna chop, you ain't gonna see the top of its head. Yes, that would be the case if it was very close to the camera, but if you ran the camera 6 feet high and you had a bobcat walk close to the camera, it isn't gonna see it either. So I'd rather run the camera down lower and angle this camera on the tree to get the subject even close and far away together. So my cameras, you know, you just gotta kind of angle them however you want. And some cameras have brackets on the back, like this one has a bracket where you can actually adjust it up and down. It's a metal bracket, comes with it, it came with it on the back. These ones here, they don't have nothing, just have teeth that sit right up against it. So if you put it on a tree and that camera's angled too far up or down, what most guys do, including myself, take it all the sticks all over, grab one of them and put it behind the camera, you know, to angle it down, or you can put it on the bottom to angle it up. So they make different brackets, and you know, they make all kinds of stuff to angle these. They sell these online. You can make them yourself. You can take an eye hook and put a bolt through them and put a stud, quarter 20 stud on the bottom, which is actually an eye hook in here. You can see I put it together with washers and stuff. And I just make my own, a couple of these. You can screw these into the bottom of the camera like this, and then this will screw into the tree. And then this here, you can angle this, you know, in any direction that you want, you know, up or down, you know, or left or right, whatever, to do it. But there's one negative to these. You can only use them on private land. So you can't take these and use these out on state land, you know, game lands or state forest, because you're screwing into a tree. That's illegal. You're not allowed using them. So that's why, you know, I use straps for everything, or these python cables. But if you're on private land, you know, your own property, whatever, you know, feel free to buy one of these. These ain't that expensive. You can buy them online for probably $5 to $10. I made a few myself, for different setups over the years. I've used these too, so they work really nice. But most cameras, they have a quarter 20 stud on the bottom. I think that's pretty universal for these. So that's all you need is a quarter 20 stud to, you know, adapt into that. So, you know, you can look at these online. You know, there's all kinds of different ones of those, or make them yourself. Let's see here, what else we got. So another setup. I'll use a tripod occasionally, for setups that do not have any trees nearby. Occasionally I'll set up like for my rattlesnakes, and I'll mount the camera there. Again, this has a quarter 20 stud on it, you know, and you can screw these right onto the tripod. Okay, so when you put these on like this, I'll run, you know, little, you know, you don't have to buy an expensive tripod. You can buy these on Amazon for like $10. They're real cheap. They're junky. You know, you know, they're just to hold your camera. You don't need nothing expensive or good. So you can use a tripod in setups where there's no trees to run your game cameras. So these work really nice. Like I said, for when I run for my rattlesnakes, not too many people are running for them, but that's what I happen to use them the most at, because there's no trees right where all the rocks are at, where the rattlesnakes are. So I'll set up with this, and sometimes you can take some rocks and lay them over top of this or whatever, just to hold it down secure, so like a raccoon comes in, doesn't, you know, bump it over and knock the camera over. So you can do that, you know, things like that. That's just a little idea for you, to use tripods. Now, if there's a tree not too far away, say 10 feet away or something like that, but you don't want to run the camera off that, and you want the camera specifically here on this tripod, right, you know, where you're going to take pictures and videos, what you can do is, since if you buy, like I said, if you buy a coil of this cable that I was telling you about there and showing you, you can obviously run a longer piece of this farther distance over and hook it around a tree, so your camera is still locked there where you have it. You know, even though the camera's here, just run a longer cable, cut off, you know, 10, 15, 20 feet, however long you needed this stuff. It's not that expensive, and you can always reuse it. So say, you know, down the road or whatever, you didn't want that long of a piece or whatever, you can cut this off and just put a new one of those crimps on there. These, you get a whole bag of these things, just, you know, make your own, and you can just keep reusing the cable as long as you want. The cable will never go bad. It's stainless. So That's what's nice about it. You got a lot of options to use it for that. I use it on my tree stands, everything. I make, to lock stuff. It's unfortunate we have to lock things in the woods, way out in the middle of nowhere, even because, unfortunately, there's people steal stuff, and that seems to be the case, for a lot of guys. I know have a lot of friends that have had a lot of cameras stolen, and that's a shame that we have to lock cameras out on state land, because people might steal them, and there again, even on private land, people will steal them too. So that's some of the information on the setups and stuff. The one other thing I'll go over here is bear boxes. So a lot of people have problems with bears coming in and wrecking game cameras, and they do. I personally don't. It's actually kind of a joke. My friends always tease me about it, that I never have bears mess with my cameras too much, and it's weird. I certainly don't, compared to other people. Elk mess with my cameras the most of any animal. They obviously have to smell your hands, on the camera or whatever, and they're curious animals. They come over, and I'll have a lock here like this, hanging off the camera, and with the cable on it, and they lick it and chew on it, and I have elk come over and they'll pull on the strap with their teeth, and they're yanking on it, and they're just constantly messing with my camera. They don't ever destroy them, but they're always messing with the locks. They'll bump it into something. I'll come in to check the camera, and the camera's sideways like this, because he moved it, or the cow moved it. So they're always messing with it all the time, crazy things. But they do make these for bears, okay? So, and also to protect the camera a little better as well from, thieves and whatnot. But they definitely are for keeping them safe for a bear, because they're plastic, the cameras, they break easy. If a bear comes in and bites down on these lenses are plastic, and same as the all the sensors and whatnot in them. The lenses, yeah, they're all it's just all plastic, so it breaks super easy. And it don't take much pressure from them bears, biting on it. They're strong. They got powerful jaws. They snap it and bust it, and then water leaks into it, ruins the whole camera. They can be hard on them, no doubt. So I do run bear safes on a lot of my cameras, bear safes, bear boxes, depending on what you want to call them. This is what they look like. They go together. Your cables, either your Python cable or these cables, run right through the back of these here, just like that. There again, this will be locked right to the tree, and then you put your camera inside of here, and then your front piece goes on. They kind of lock together like that, and then you can actually run a lock through this right here to lock that in, so they can't. So this whole thing is locked around the tree with your cable, and then your padlock locks the front on where they can't steal the camera out of it. I like these a lot. They're again, they're 30 to 40 bucks a piece. If you run a lot of cameras, yeah, it can get expensive. So I have some from years ago on older cameras that I ran. So here's what I did. There's a little trick for you can do. So this bear box that I bought here was from a camera from, oh boy, probably 10 years ago. The camera died, threw it out, whatever. Okay, so I got new cameras. So the new cameras, obviously, they have their own bear boxes. So instead of spending another 40 bucks, I figured I'm not using this. So what I did is I took a jigsaw and I just cut out the opening to adapt to the new camera. This is sheet metal, you just can take a jigsaw or an angle grinder, Dremel, you name it, cut it to however you want it, and then you can take your camera, and for example, this camera here sat too far back in, so I took his foam and I set foam in the back just to bump it out like that, and then it keeps it out towards the edge so it doesn't like fall back in. If I don't have that foam in there, this might just fall back into the box a little bit too much, because that camera happens to be a little thinner than my other one. So you can see now all the lights and sensors, and lens, everything's cut out for this camera here to fit it. So that works really good. You can always adapt them. You can tell how old this is. Look at all the chew marks on it from porcupines and gray squirrels, red squirrels, chipmunks, always chewing on these things. So there again, that's another thing it protects it from, not just bears. You know, if you have it, not protected like that, you can have chipmunks and squirrels and whatnot and all that come over and chew on that plastic, and they can make a hole in it and it can leak as well. So that's a little, a lot of guys use these. They really are nice, but yeah, they are expensive. So if you're talking, you're gonna buy the bear box and the python cable, you're talking another $50+ to add on to an already, you bought a camera for whatever, 100 200 bucks. So you got another $50 invested just to protect it. I started running a lot of cameras, not using them. I figured I'll take the chance. You can do that. It depends on how many you got. If I was only running a couple cameras, I would have everything protected, no question, with these bear boxes. You wouldn't think nothing of it. But if you're running 20 plus cameras or more, some guys have 50 or 100 cameras, that's a lot of money, to protect each and every one of them. So maybe you only want to use it on the more expensive cameras, your better cameras, as the camera ages. For example, like this one here, maybe you don't want to protect it no more. You can maybe, if it'll work out for you, you can steal the bear box off of this camera and use it on a newer camera, like say this one here, to protect it. So you can do different things like that, too. So let's see here. Oh, the other thing, distance from the subject. That happens to be a big topic that comes up a lot too. How far away should I mount the camera from what I'm trying to get the subject? These cameras, all today, the newer, better ones, have video screens built into them. At least these Brownings do on the camera here itself. So when you turn it on, this will allow, you can see what this is seeing on here, so on the screen, so you can aim it however you want because it has a screen here. That's really nice. So some of them, like this camera, also has that. It has a screen there, so I can see how, I aim it up and down, I can see what I'm looking at. There's some cameras that don't. This particular cell camera here is a Bushnell cell camera. That one, this one here does not have that in it. Most of the cell cameras, I don't think, have, screens in them. Some of them do. It all depends on which one. This one here does not. So aiming it, you actually would use your cell phone to aim it. It will send you a picture as you're setting it up or whatever. You can have it send pictures, so you can look on your cell phone to see if it's aimed. So the distance that you run your cameras from the subject, I try to run my cameras as close as I possibly can to the subject without being overly close that I blew it out and I can't, I'm chopping off the head of the animal that's in front of me. But I don't like them where they're real far away either, because then, you don't get to see it real good. If I have eagles come in or whatever, and the eagles are, way out 40 feet out in front of me, you don't get a real good representation of them as opposed if they're only 5 feet in front of the camera. So you gotta kind of test that depending on your setups and where you're running them. Sometimes, you'll find yourself, like, you'll be running a camera and you wish it was closer, so the next time you go in, you might have to bump it up a little bit, or sometimes it might be too close and you have to bump it back a little bit. So you just got to kind of adjust it to what you want. Let's see here. So the other thing I'll talk about is battery life. Okay, so that's a huge topic that comes up all the time, is what kind of batteries to run. Solar panels, external battery packs, that's a huge topic. So for years, pretty much 20 years, I've been running, AA batteries. So if you hit this button right here, the eject button, trays come out of these cameras, okay? And you can see this particular camera runs 8 AA batteries. I run Amazon industrial alkaline batteries. most of the camera companies, they recommend Energizer. They're probably maybe a little bit better, but they are more money. Amazon, you usually can get a pretty good deal on these batteries here. I get like boxes of 250, 300 at a time sent to my house every few months, because I go through so many batteries. But I'm starting to get away with not using these as much. And I should have did this years ago, and just kind of never did. And then I kind of started researching this more recently and started running external battery packs. So I'll show you how that works. Here is some of the setup for this. All right, so this is just a cheap ammo can box at Walmart, $5. You buy them on Amazon, same thing. They're just plastic, you know. They don't. They're essentially pretty much waterproof. They got a seal around the top here. So here is what you can buy. These are LifePure4 batteries. This is a Watt Cycle is the name of the company. You can buy a lot of different brands. I kind of did some research. This company seems to be pretty decent. It's not terribly expensive. And they seem to be pretty good, have some warranty. The customer service seems pretty good on them. This battery here is a 12-volt battery. Most of these cameras, they all seem to be 12-volt. I'm sure there is some 6-volt batteries or cameras on the market. I personally don't know of any, but I know somebody will say, you know, oh, there's some 6-volt ones. Yeah, there probably is. But majority of them are 12-volt. So if you buy a 12-volt battery, this is an external battery. This is essentially a lithium battery type battery. This battery has a lot more capacity than, you know, this battery pack does here with the 8 AA's. This is going to last a lot longer. So this camera, the Recon Force HP5, happens to be an amazing camera, takes amazing pictures and videos, but it absolutely chews through batteries compared to my other brands of cameras that I use. It's bad. Like, there's times I go out and it took 110 videos, 1-minute videos, and the batteries are already down to 22% of battery life left, and then once the battery life gets down, it seems to bleed below like 40%. What it will do is it will start cutting down on the nighttime image length of your videos. So if you have your nighttime videos set at 20 seconds, I'll go in once my batteries are getting depleted so far. I'll check my nighttime videos that it's been taken, and it'll only have like a 2-second video. That's it, because it's using the infrared flash here on the camera, and it's taking up a lot of battery, so it starts cutting down the battery length. The daytime videos still seem to stay the same, so if I have them set at 30 seconds or a minute, they seem to be the same. But my nighttime videos, and as well as my buddies that run this camera, that's what suffers. It starts cutting down on the length of the nighttime videos. So a way around this, and to get longer battery life, is to buy these external battery packs. So how they work is, you get, you know, your positive and negative on there, and you buy these cables depending on what size cable your camera takes. Almost all these cameras have an external battery port right there in the bottom. Now that external battery port is this plug right here. They're just different sizes. Some of them are 5.5 by 2.1, some are like 4.7 by 1.7. There's different sizes of these depending on what brand camera you're using. They usually tell you, or you can call the company and ask them or whatever. You know, sometimes they'll give them to you for free with the, with the camera. That Wise Eyes that I bought, they actually came with it. I didn't even have to buy them. They gave me the free cables with it to run external battery packs if you want. So these plug into the bottom of it right here. This still shuts, but this plugs into the bottom, and then you can run this cable down the tree, however high up on the tree, and you can take this ammo box right here and put your battery pack in here like that, and then take your 2 spade terminals here, your positive and negative, and hook them right onto the battery. Okay, so when you power up the camera, it'll say external battery down on the corner here, and that will tell you that you're hooked up to your external battery. This battery here will last unbelievable longer than those AA's. This battery here is a 12 volt 12 amp hour battery. They make 8 amp hour batteries, they make 20 amp hour, 100, 300, whatever you want. All depends on how much money you want to spend. Once you get up to like 100, they're very expensive. You don't need that big of a battery. I personally would recommend an 8, a 12, or a 20. Any of those are fine. Like I said, this is a watt cycle. You don't have to buy this brand. There's different ones on Amazon. I did watch some videos where some of the internals of these batteries are not as good as quality as others. So I kind of steered away from some of the brands on Amazon and online. This company here seems to be pretty decent. There's Amped Outdoors, I think is the name of the one brand. That's a really good one. They can get pricey. Depends on what company you buy. This one right here, if you get them on sale, sometimes on eBay they'll offer you coupons or whatnot. This battery right here, currently on sale, you get a 2-pack of them for right around like $60. So they're about 30 bucks a piece for one of these, which is not bad because you don't, eventually it'll pay for itself, compared to using tons and tons of AA's like I do. If you're using a setup where you're not getting a lot of pictures, some people don't want to run stuff like this or don't get a lot of pictures of animals. Just want to use it in your yard or whatever, more basic. You don't have to run one of these. If you're going to use it in a more advanced setup where you're going to be getting a lot of pictures, of deer, turkeys, whatever, it chews through those AA's pretty quick. An animal stands in front of it for, half an hour or something. You could have, hundreds of pictures or videos or more, used up in just one animal. One, doe is standing there, could use up half the battery life on it, just standing in front of it. So if you're running it where you're getting a lot of footage of things, I personally would recommend going to these. I wish I'd have went to them years ago instead of using so many AA batteries. Now, I won't use them in all the cameras. There's times where I might be running a camera out somewhere where it's only going to be running on a certain subject or a certain spot that I'm scouting for whitetails. I might only run it there for a month, okay? So I don't need to run nothing like this. But if you follow me on Facebook or watch my footage, I have a lot of setups that stay the same. Like my log crossing, my cameras are there, 24/7, 365 days a year. So that's an excellent spot to run an external battery. I run on watering holes up on top of mountains, so animals, go to the watering holes. They need to drink every day and whatnot, so they don't come off the mountain. So they utilize some of these watering holes that I located and found. And I get a lot of really cool footage at them. There again, I run my cameras at them, 24/7, 365. So that's another great spot to run one of these batteries packs at. I run some other spots, like for even the snakes over the summer. I might run for 4 months at a spot. A great place to run one of these. But if you're changing the game camera and moving it often, or you just want to run it for a short period of time, then I would recommend just stick with your AA batteries. But these are a very good option to use right here. These Life P04 external battery packs. I wish I would have ran it on my cameras a long time ago. I wouldn't have used up near the amount of batteries that I have been using, especially at my log crossings and stuff like that. One of the things I will note is in these cameras, if you leave the battery pack or the AA's in here inside the camera and hook up this, it will use the external battery pack until this is completely spent and essentially just stops, and then it'll automatically switch and go onto these, and they'll keep running on the AA's. If you back it up, leave the AA's in there, it'll use those then. usually in that case, this the SD card's going to be maxed out, you know, and used up usually before you'll burn up one of these. Now, you might say, well, what do you do when you get out in the woods and one of these is dead? Well, you can always keep one of these in your bag. Now, this, like I said, this is the 12 amp hour battery. This is a little bit bigger. You can see the dimensions of it. It's probably about 3.5 by 3.5 by 5. Okay, they make an 8 amp hour one. It is a considerable smaller. It's probably about a third that, and you can put that in your backpack. You could put it right in your pocket. It would fit right in my pocket, like no problem. I have it out there right now running on a couple cameras, and it's doing good, and it's small. So what you could do is you could always keep one of those or two, whatever, with you in your backpack and swap them out. Same way you do with the AA batteries. Pull out your dead ones and put new ones in. This one here is a little bit bigger. You know, it would fit in my backpack, but you can just carry it too. You keep it in your vehicle or whatever. It'll take a long time to burn up one of these compared to the AA's. You'll get a lot of life out of this. I have not been running these for very long, so I'm kind of still in slightly experiment mode before I'll figure out how many pictures, how many videos I will get on a camera before one of these is completely burned up. I bought a charger, it's a 12-volt charger. I keep it at my house here, so when one of these is, you know, dead, I'll bring it back home. I'll put it on my charger. It literally only takes like, you know, an hour to charge it up, and then once that's charged up, throw it back in my truck. So when I go to another spot, if one of these is burned up, I'll just swap it back out. But there again, like I said, if you buy the 8 amp hour ones, they're smaller. You can just keep them with you or whatever. You can use these too. This one here I've been buying the 12 and the 8 both, and the reason why, I'm just kind of testing them out. I have a couple setups like my log crossings where I actually run 2 cameras on each side of the log. So I actually have 4 cameras on my log crossings. You might say, why do I run 4 cameras there? Sometimes I'll run 4 because, you know, depending on what camera's on each side, sometimes I'll have a camera that just messes up. They stop working at times. They glitch and screw up and don't work anymore. I don't know why, they just do it occasionally. Or say the batteries, you know, I didn't change them out or whatever, and one of them used up the batteries more than the other one. Well, it actually just happened recently on my Eagles there that I just got done capturing. I checked the SD cards. I had one camera, the batteries completely went dead, and then the other one above it, that one there kept continually running, and I got a lot of really good footage on that. And if I would have never had that second camera there, I would have missed all that footage that this one should have got, but it just died. The batteries died on it, you know, and I did not have it hooked up to one of these. So it comes down to, you know, what you're running, like I said, what you're running on and stuff like that, and you know, there's a lot to there's a lot of different ways you can run things. So yeah, as far as running on a log crossing, I run 2 cameras on each side. So these are really going to come in handy. So I'll use a 12 volt or 12 amp hour one for 2 cameras. You can buy spade terminals that have like a jumper that comes off of it, so you can actually hook 2. You can hook as many as you want. You could run 10 cameras off this battery if you wanted. That's another positive to it, is one battery can run a lot of cameras. Now most people don't run they don't run more than one camera in one spot. It's unusual, but there is some folks like myself though that do have multiple cameras in one particular spot, so I can utilize this to my advantage by running both the cameras off this. So I have a plug coming off the bottom of one going down onto this, and then the plug comes out of the other one and goes down onto this, and you sit in there, and what you can do is you can just make a little notch right there, you can see. So when you run your cable down, you can put that cable, or you can make a second notch, make 2 of them if you need, and it'll sit right in that little hole notch there I made, so that this, you know, shuts and locks, and you just take and, you know, lock this up or whatever. This, like I said, this has got a seal around it. It'll, you know, you can get snow, rain all over it. You won't get no, you know, it won't get inside of here or whatever. You can, they have a lock on this if you want. You can lock this so someone can't steal your battery or whatever. I mean, it's plastic. If you really, obviously, if they really wanted it, they could cut it, break it, snap it off, whatever. But you can also, if you want, you can secure this to the tree. At least an animal, specifically bears, are notorious for loving to chew on this kind of stuff, and they'll grab it and they'll walk off with it. So they might grab a hold of this thing in their mouth and they might carry it off. You might never find it again. So that's a, you know, advantage. You can take and lock this to the tree, or at least take a piece of paracord or cable or whatever and run it around the tree and hook it on the handle or whatever. And I just set them right on the ground. Now, where I run my when I run for like otters or on the log crossings, you know, the creeks flood a lot. So I wouldn't set it on the ground next to the tree along a creek, because then the whole thing might go underwater and fry everything, you know. So what you can do, one positive, because it has a handle on it, if you want, you can just strap it with take a strap or whatever, or a piece of paracord, and you can strap it up on the tree like this if you want, keep it off the ground. You know, if the water floods and comes up into here, you know, up the tree, it won't be underwater. It'd be off the water and out of sight and safe. So that's a little trick there you can do. Let's see if there's anything else. Some guys run solar panels. So I have some friends that run solar panels for their cellular cameras. Solar panels are really nice. They have internal batteries built into them. They come out of the solar panel. You mount the solar panel, usually facing south, gets the most sun. And then it runs down, plugs in, the same exact plugs right in the bottom of it. There is pros and cons to them. The solar panels are subject to vandalism as well, from not just humans but from bears. You know, if you have it mounted to the tree or whatever, you can have a bear come up and pull it off, rip it, break it, you know, chew on it, snap it off, whatever. Porcupines are notorious for chewing on stuff like that too, and they can ruin it. They usually run right around about $60 for a solar panel. Sometimes you can get them on sale. There again, you know, all depends on what kind you buy and everything like that. The solar panels have the built-in batteries inside of them, so it charges those and it charges your camera. Now, they work good if you got some sun coming into them, you know, and you're in an open area. A lot of places that I run my cameras, I'm in areas like behind me. It's all thick hemlock, and when you run in those thick hemlocks, you don't get sun coming down into them. The canopy is very thick, so you it just doesn't charge it up real great. I mean, sometimes it will, sometimes it doesn't. You know, I personally think going the external battery pack route versus the solar is better, at least for me. You have to see what you would like for your setup. If you're going to be running more in open areas, then maybe like a solar panel better. And if you're in the woods, real thick canopy, you might like a battery pack better. Or if you're not getting tons of pictures and you don't want to mess with any of that, then don't. Just use double A's, and you just have to keep swapping them out like I've been doing for many years. So, you know, there's different options of running these cameras and whatnot. So I hope this helps some of yous and addresses some of the questions that I get often about these cameras and setting them up and whatnot. You know, they're not that hard. I think a lot of people are intimidated by these, you know, they're afraid to get one, or not sure how to run it, or or think that they can't run it. You know, they're not going to figure it out. They're really simple. You know, that you just open them up and just mess with it. You can play with it in your house. You can set it up in your house. So put it on your countertop, and when you walk past it, see if it's going off and how long it's taking a video. You could just mess with it. You know, you'll get it. You'll understand it. Read the instructions it comes with. You know, they're not that complicated. You know, they're pretty basic, you know, and self-explanatory. Yeah, so don't be afraid, to pick one up. Like I said, there again, this is, January 2025. So if you're watching this video many years from now, disregard the brands and the model numbers, I should say, of these cameras, because they're going to be obsolete. You ain't even going to be able to buy it. Example, this one right here. This camera's probably 8+ years old. They don't make it no more. So, I can't speak of, like, the model number of this one is a BTC-5 HD. They don't make that no more. So, I don't want to speak on specific brands and cameras. There's a lot of them out in the market that are good and people like online. I'm just kind of giving you some ideas more on setups and a little information on the cameras more than the brands. But I do get the most questions asked is what kind I do run. So as of 2025 here now, definitely this one right here. That's the HP Browning Recon Force HP5. That camera, one of the best cameras out right now. Nicest photo quality, nicest video quality, settings. It's really nice. So you can't go wrong with that one. You're never going to be disappointed in it. They got really good customer service, so if something ever happens or whatever, I think you have a year warranty on it. So if you're running or something's not right or not working, you can always send it back to them to get it fixed or get a new one or whatever. Let's see if there's anything else I have to address here. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I know I'm gonna get asked some more questions. I might not have covered everything. Oh, there is one little other thing. So here's why I keep these pouches with me. I have a carabiner clip on here and all my keys. So my keys obviously control all my different locks. I have a bunch of different locks I kept acquiring over the years, so it depends on how many keys you got. I keep SD cards right here with me, all kinds of different sizes, different ones. So there again, these are empty. When I go to check the camera, I pull the one out and I take one of these and swap it in there, and I have lots of SD cards. I keep them in a little pouch here and I hook them in there, and I keep these in my backpack all the time. So when I go check my cameras, I always have them with me to swap them out. Yeah, so some of these cameras, one other thing I'll say is some of these cameras here don't have, I said before, don't have the locks on the doors. You can make stuff. I've made stuff for mine to keep these locked so that people can't steal the SD cards out of them. I wish Browning and some of these camera companies would go back to the old style where, I don't know why they changed it. Like even this is brand new camera. They don't have the locks on the doors no more, so you can just open these up and take the SD cards out. They need to put the loops back on the doors to lock the doors. Yes, you can still break it. It's plastic and still steal it. I get that, but it just helps a little bit, So I wish they do that, but nonetheless, they all at least have the loops in the back. You can lock them on the tree, to secure it. Unfortunately, we have to do that, but it sucks. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. I've always wanted to make this for a long time because of all the questions I do to get asked on running cameras and whatnot. So I hope I addressed some of your questions and concerns. Let me know in the comments. I'll upload this to YouTube. I don't use YouTube that much. I do have videos on there, but not a lot. But I'll put it on there, and then I can share the YouTube link to Facebook and whatnot, and then also into a personal message to somebody if they want to, see this video on trail cameras. So I'll put it on there, and then you guys can share it or whatever. And like I said, I can reference a certain spot on the video to address something. If somebody just has a question on, making the cables or whatever, I can just tell you to go to, the 3 minute 20 seconds of the video to start, to learn about how to make the cables to run on the cameras and whatnot. I can try to add the links to Facebook or to YouTube so you can see where to buy this stuff. I could do that, but I see that a lot of times guys do that. They'll add the links on YouTube, and then you click on the link and it's expired because the video was made 5 years ago. So they don't, it's not there no more, or the link's broken, you can't get to it. So I'm not gonna do that. The stuff that I explained, you pretty much can find all this stuff: the cables, the locks, the little ferrule crimps for the cables, extra straps, and then your charging cables. You can find all that stuff on Amazon, or eBay. It's there. The Bear Safes. There's companies that make these. There's a lot of different companies that make these. You can just research them online. Just type it under Google. It'll come up for you for what you're looking for. If you have any other questions on it, or you're not sure, shoot me a message, and I'll get you at least to the right area, or right location to find this stuff and everything. So yeah, I hope this helps and addresses some of the questions you guys have, and I hope you like the video. Sorry it's so long, but hope that's everything. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and have a good one.